The radio team of the New York Giants, taking a look at the 2020 schedule. And Carl, I guess for Giants fans, there's sort of relief with the fact that the Giants don't have their traditional opener on the road in Dallas against the Cowboys. Pittsburgh Steelers, Monday Night Football. Your thoughts on the Giants opening up against an unfamiliar foe?
Well, if you have to open up against an unfamiliar foe, Pittsburgh would be the one that you would want to open up with, because Pittsburgh traditionally gets stronger as the season goes. In that division, the Giants are going to see a lot of teams from it, but if you want to get Pittsburgh, you might want to get them in Ben Roethlisberger's first game back, as opposed to letting them get their feet under them.
You know, with Andy Dalton gone from Cincinnati, Joe Burrow is going to be the starting quarterback, at least on paper. Now, the Giants don't play the other three teams in the AFC North until the final 6 games of the season. The last week of November, it's against Cincinnati on the road. And then Odell Beckham Jr., Baker Mayfield, and the Browns come to MetLife Stadium on December the 20th. And then the Giants have to go to Baltimore to play Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. First, Cincinnati, same head coach, new quarterback, changing football team. And then, obviously, the matchup with the Browns is something that I'm sure all Giants fans have circled on their calendar.
Well, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're trying to find their way. They have a rookie quarterback. They're probably going to be a lot like the Giants were with their rookie quarterback last year, just finding out what works. It's late in the year, so they'll probably have some type of rhythm. The two teams that you really have to concern yourself with are the two that come behind that, because they're fast, they're skillful on both sides of the football, and they're playoff caliber teams. And if you ask anybody in Cleveland, they thought that they should have been in the playoffs last year had it not been for a little bit of dysfunction there. But you look at the Baltimore Ravens, man, they want to be in the Super Bowl next season.
All right, Carl, we go to the other side of the ledger, which is the fact that the Giants are going to be playing the NFC West this year, which is really going to be a tough division. They've got the San Francisco 49ers at home on September the 27th. They've got Arizona at home on December the 13th. I think the Cardinals are going to be a pretty good team. And then, you have to go to Seattle. And you know that that's going to be a situation where you got to go to the Rams in early October. First, let's talk about the 49ers, because they made a lot of good moves, and I didn't see them weakening in any way, shape, or form.
No, they're at the top of the food chain, Bob, and they are a Super Bowl participant. They didn't take a step back. Their goal is to finish the job. And when you look at their team, they're about as complete as can be. They are experienced now. They are battle-tested. This will be kind of the litmus test for where the Giants need to get in order to compete in the conference.
And then you got the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, that game is later in the year, Carl, but this is a team that a lot of people think could make a really big jump. They've added a lot of pieces. Second year for their head coach, Cliff Kingsbury. It went very well with drafting the quarterback last year. And now they've added one of the best receivers in the National Football League, DeAndre Hopkins, to their roster. I think Arizona is one of these teams that could be in contention for a playoff spot late in the year.
Well, it'll be interesting, Bob. I'm not that sold on Arizona. I like the steps that they're making. I don't know if they're going to make a giant step. You have the Rookie of the Year in the quarterback, and I'm saying, okay, I get why he's Rookie of the Year. The expectations are high.
All right, December the 6th, the Giants are going to be in Seattle. Look, Russell Wilson is arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. That we know. Pete Carroll's teams play to a certain profile. It's never easy to play there. Your thoughts on playing Seattle and having to play them in Seattle this year?
Well, if you're playing Seattle late or middle of the season, when the stakes start to get higher, it becomes a tougher place to play. And that division that they're in, they've got to compete from day one. So it is a very tough place to play in Seattle. And like you said, they play to a certain standard. They do not compromise. So, when you're looking at a rookie head coach, you're looking at a very young football team. What they do between now, this offseason, until they get to some of the tough part of their schedule. Not that any of it's going to be easy, but when you start to get against these seasoned teams, these playoff caliber teams, you've got to have a lot of things together and going well for yourself.
All right, we mentioned that the Giants have a Monday night opener against Pittsburgh. They have 2 Monday night games this year, and ironically, both of the Monday night games happen to be home games. The 2 games that the Giants have in conference that are a function of their record last year is the game against the Chicago Bears on September the 20th. We'll get to that in a second with their new quarterback. But all eyes are going to be on MetLife Stadium as Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on November the 2nd will play at MetLife Stadium. They added Gronk. They've got weapons all across the board on offense. Their defense played very well last year. Your thoughts on Brady, Gronk, and the Bucs coming to MetLife Stadium that first Monday of November?
It'll be fun. It'll be worth the price of admission. You know, the Giants played Tampa very well down in Tampa last year. The pieces haven't changed that much other than they've added Gronkowski. And they got rid of their other tight end, and they added a quarterback. Now, this quarterback has to have a lot of things going well for him. So it's not going to be vintage Tom Brady from 6 years ago. It's the Brady that has to have a supporting cast. The Giants can compete. You cannot, be overwhelmed by the hype of who Tom Brady is. You got to play the guy that's on the field and the supporting cast.
Yeah, and the Giants did see him last year when they played up in Foxborough. The Giants do not play a division game until October the 11th. They go on the road to play the Cowboys. Then they come home to play the Washington Redskins. And then on a short week turnaround, they're going to go down to Philadelphia on Thursday Night Football, October the 22nd, to play the Eagles. And in fact, Carl, after the game with the Bucs, the Giants then go to Washington and host Philadelphia before their bye. They always say that the fastest route to the playoffs is win the division. We're going to find out in that 1 month stretch between October the 11th and the November 15th game what the Giants' division record looks like. This is a key component for this team. Let's talk first about the Dallas Cowboys. They add Andy Dalton as a backup. They're trying to get Dak Prescott's deal done. And then the Cowboys added a receiver in the draft. Your thoughts on the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy, now the new head coach?
Well, we know what type of offense Mike McCarthy likes to run. They're going to be somewhat of a fast break offense. They'll distribute the ball. They're going to have a pretty good pace to them, but they're going to be a physical football team. This personnel will not be unfamiliar. McCarthy's job is to get them to play at or above their talent level, and many believe that they're the most talented roster in all of football from start to finish. So that will be something that the Giants will have to contend with, but they know that personnel very well.
What do you think about Philadelphia this year, Carl?
Bob, I cannot say enough good things about their coaching staff. I mean, when you look at the job that they've done over the years, but in particular last year when they were having literally to make adjustments from series to series as they were losing players, and they were still able to get their team into the playoffs. I think, this is the team to beat.
Overall, Carl, what do you think of this Giants schedule?
Well, it doesn't look like a schedule for a team that finished with the record that they did. But this is, what it looks like today and what it looks like as the season goes on will be totally different, Bob. I mean, you can stack them all up now and you can point to the guys that went to the playoffs and you say, okay, this is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a tough game. But we know the course of the NFL season, things change. Injuries happen. Transactions happen. And also you have to take into account that this season it will be like none other. Everybody's starting a little differently now. They're training a little differently now. So we'll see where they are by the time they get to some of these teams. But the schedule itself, if you just line them up, they've got some really tough games on that schedule for a team that only won four games last year.
Yeah, and we haven't even gotten into the Bears, right? I mean, they play the Bears the second week of the season in Chicago. They were there last year, but who knows who the quarterback for Chicago will be at that point. Trubisky's still there. They didn't pick up the fifth-year option. But you don't bring in a guy like Nick Foles with what you're paying him based on Jacksonville's contract to not think that Nick Foles is probably going to be the starter right out of the gate, right?
Well, that would be my assumption, is because Nick Foles has been in the big moment. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but he has also stepped up many times when he was in Philadelphia and had to rise to the occasion. So I would suspect that it's going to be a short leash for Mitchell Trubisky, because they really have grown tired and impatient with waiting for him to really develop into what they think he can be. So at this point, having a guy behind him, if there's a misstep or two, you'll see a change right away.
Well, can't wait to get in the radio booth, Carl. Obviously, the Jets, road game against the Jets, at Tennessee, then home against Green Bay and New England are what the preseason games look like. But can't wait to get in the TV booth for the preseason, the radio booth for the regular season, and let's get this behind us and let's get to these games. Hopefully we get all of them in and all of them in order.
Exactly, and I'm super excited for it too, just like any other NFL fan. I mean, you get these things, these schedules that release, and people anticipate and have these same types of conversations. The next phase of it is, okay, how do we get these players in safely and to put on, great events safely? So hopefully, we listen to our medical community and our science community. We'll be able to find a way to get this thing contained, under control, and everybody can reintegrate into the sport safely.
Hey Giants fans, Saquon Barkley here. You want to see more videos? Subscribe below.